So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. And we are going to be going over MAPS Accelerator today. This is sort of like the second half of what I did in February. So hopefully you've had a chance to get signed up, to get your class going, and to actually have some data. If not, you probably can still sort of follow along a little screen, so you can look at my presentation, and I'm also going to link the presentation in the chat so that you can follow along with that as well. All right, and I'm going to move this over here. Yes, okay, and I'm going to link it in the chat for you. Here we go. So this is digging into the data. And if you are interested and you want to know what 5D plus rubric connections this makes, we are going to start putting these in for you guys. So if part of your plan, you're working on one of these, this is a great example or great evidence to put into your PLP. And so just a few of the connections is CP1, CP2, and PCC4, as you see at the bottom of the slide. And by the end of this session, you will hopefully know where to look for class data, use the data to inform instruction or intervention, and create upcoming lessons using the data. So let's dig in. I have two links here. This first one is presenter access only. I have access to this. I don't think you'll be able to get access. However, MAPS does have a reports portfolio, and this is something that might be great for you once we part for the second half and you can dig in and work on things on your own. This portfolio piece will walk you through step by step if you need that visual sort of direction. But for now, I'm going to click on here, and it's going to take us to Khan Academy. And it's logging me in as this fictitious person, Peter O'Keefe. Can everybody see that? Yes, I see nods.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. My split screen's not working, so thank you for the verbal comment. So this is what your dashboard is going to look like, or what it should look like. And what we're looking at right now is just that main section. So when we scroll down, we can see all of the students and what their placement was. So this is where they all placed in the math growth test. So when you go to look at yours, you're going to see all of the results that came from the winter MAPS testing session. Now, if for any reason your student wasn't able to take the winter math session and they have data from the fall, that will populate here instead. So this is just sort of the placement. And when we want to go see progress, we're going to come over here to the left-hand side and we're going to click on progress. And this is going to take us through what all of our students are doing. It shows you what percentage they have finished, what they have mastered. And they sort of have what mastery looks like right along this plane as well. And it shows you how many students and where they're at. So if we hover over here, it shows us 28%, 28 students or 2%. If we scroll down a little farther, we can see place value, addition, subtraction, and estimation. And so all of those little charts are there. We also can go ahead and click on this drop-down arrow, and we can click on one group and then see where they all are at. And it just shows the different modules that they're working on. So these are all the activities or the lessons that are being pulled from Khan Academy. And if there's any questions along the way, please just shout out, and I'd be happy to stop and answer any questions.
So, quick question then, Jenny. If you were to hover over those bars in the bar graphs, does it show you student names?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Let me go back. I don't know if it does in this spot or if it's in another spot. Let me check. So in these bars, it doesn't in this spot, but there is another spot that it does. I just have to find my way there. It's a little trickier on this than it is on mine because mine's a lot easier to follow. Okay, so here's where it is. So when we click on Maps Accelerator, we also have a progress under that. So when we click on that progress, we have some options. So right now it says all instructional areas. But I have a unit in geometry coming up. So I want to know where my students are in geometry. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. It shows you where their placement is, how many minutes they've worked on it, how many skills they've gone up. And as you can see, the first couple of students haven't worked on any of these concepts at all. But if I scroll down a little more, I see that Adriana has indeed been working, and this shows her progress so far. And if I wanted to break down and see exactly what she's doing, then I can go ahead and click on her name.
Jenny, can I ask a question?
You sure can.
Is this so Maps Accelerator is all Khan Academy lessons?
Yes.
Okay, now my question is this used for intervention or as part of a teacher's curriculum in the classroom?
Yes to both. So it can be both. So it can be intervention, and it can be just a select group of students that are using it at one time. Let me stop presenting for a second. Like Becky was saying, she has a fourth grade student who she wants to work with on this. So she's having the classroom teacher set it up. But many classroom teachers are using this with their entire class, especially like elementary level. And right now we have it available for 3rd through 8th grade. And we are hoping to expand that beyond the grades for next year so that high school has access. And they are working to possibly have K-2 as well. So it just depends on what the interest is for our district, how much we pay for licenses next year, of how much we expand.
Okay, so I have a question. I think if I wanted to use this in my intervention class, is it something I could sign up all students for at the beginning of the year? And then like we rotate every 3 weeks on our intervention. And so once I signed all the kids up, every 3 weeks, I wouldn't have to change who I'm doing what with. I could just select certain students for that 3 weeks.
So that's one of the things that's tricky right now, and we will have to I can run that by Milt and see what we can do, because interventionist and special education teachers don't have classes, I think, in Infinite Campus. So if you don't have a class in there, then MAPS uses Clever, which pulls from Infinite Campus. Then it doesn't recognize you as a teacher. But one of the things that I was telling Becky is that we can make you a school admin, and that would give you access to all students in the school, and you should be able to pull them that way. But that's one of the kinks that we're working out right now.
Okay, because I am a classroom teacher, and I also do my own intervention. So that would not be an issue for me.
Great.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jenny, another quick question.
Yes.
So you mentioned the different uses for this for either like intervention or as a supplemental resource.
Mm-hmm.
With my students, to get them kind of involved in using this, I'm actually having them use it instead of Dreambox.
Yes.
Is that also an acceptable usage?
Yes, it is. Evan, what grade do you teach?
7th and 8th.
7th and 8th. Yeah, absolutely. The reason that we got this going was because some children in those upper grades from like 5 to 8 were really struggling with Dreambox. Because if Dreambox is not followed to a T, meaning nobody helps the student while they are on, and their placement is accurate, it's not going to work for them because it actually keeps going ahead and it ends up being too hard. And so that's why we wanted to find something else to supplement or to do instead of. So if some of your students are doing great on Dreambox, go ahead and let them do Dreambox. If some of them want to do Maps Accelerator, if you want to do all of one or the other, that's great too. So these are options as of right now.
Perfect. Did you have any recommendations for like how that should get assessed? Because I know Dreambox was getting a habits of work grade, and I'm still trying to work out the kinks with my students and figure out what an acceptable and appropriate amount of Maps Accelerator to do every week would be. Do you have any guidance on
that? They have guidance, and I want to say, and maybe Becky, you have a better memory than I do from when we did the training. Did you do the training, the first one?
Yeah,
Yes.
and all I remember them
Was it
saying, Jenny,
40?
was they recommended 2 level ups
Yes, per week.
per week.
Yeah, and I think they said that typically can be done in about 40 minutes. I have in my head, but I can get the exact.
I was going to say 30 to 40 minutes as well.
I had a student on Wednesday who was able to level up 7 times in a 45-minute class.
That's fantastic. That happens too.
Okay, so we'll
see that in a second too. I think I have one screen that will show us like some of the activities that students are doing, and it'll show you that some of them are leveling up quickly and some of them aren't. And that's some of the data that we're going to want to look at and dig into, because if they're not moving very quickly, what does that say to us?
Right.
So we'll see that in a second. Are there any other questions before I go back? Okay.
Jenny, hi.
Hi, Linda. How are you?
I'm in Evan's room, but I went and got my computer because I wanted to be able to follow along. And I just wanted to put in a plug for the Khan Academy. I use the videos with the intervention. So I'm being intervention, as you were saying, I don't have a class right now. So I don't know if it really matters. I don't know. Maybe it would be nice too, but Evan's doing it anyway. So I don't think I'm not worried about that, but I do love the videos as a supplement to what I'm doing, because they hear it another time and they see it on the screen. So I really like that. And myself, I had done the 7th and 8th grade, some of the lessons just to brush up. Anyway.
That's awesome.
So thank you. I'll listen in.
All right, let me go back. And we are going here. Okay, so it shows you last 7 days, last 30 days, and we can go into different areas. And you see this one doesn't have any actual activity, but we can go and break down the types of activities as well. So let's go back to the class. And just as a reminder, because I have to remind myself, this is the Progress tab under Map Accelerator. And that's where we're going to get the bulk of our information. So if I keep scrolling down, was it this one? All right, let me switch over. Try this one. This is why I want mine, because I had more information. Let's try here. Okay. So this is the one that only has one student. Sorry, guys, bear with me. Thank you for your patience.
Jenny, can I ask a question?
Yes.
I noticed that we can assign either, I teach third grade, so I could either assign third grade or get ready for fourth grade. What's the difference? And at this point in the year, what should I be assigning, or does it matter?
My opinion is it doesn't matter right now. I think either is fine. I think getting ready for fourth grade would probably be once you get through some of the third grade things that might be appropriate. You might have students that would be appropriate for, but I will do a little more digging in to find out what the difference is.
Yeah, it's not a bit, and I didn't, maybe next year when we start right off at the beginning of the year, maybe then halfway through switch over. And just so you know, my students have done it a little bit, and they say they like this better than Dreambox. So I don't know if we're doing an either or both. If the district's trying to choose one or the other, the students have said they like Khan Academy better.
I will tell you that what is probably going to happen is this will be available, but we may have it be K-2 is Dreambox and 3 and up or something like that is the MAPS Accelerator. Just because it does seem to be the consensus, but that will be kind of a final decision that we'll make later. So I can't make any promises exactly how it will be right now. And that's coming from the big Dreambox proponent. I found it, I pushed it, I did everything, I loved it, and it's not working for our older students. So we need more options.
Okay, I have a quick logistical question. You just made me a little nervous because Rutland Town, we buy our own Dreambox license.
You do, yes.
Would we have to buy our own MAP Accelerator license?
No.
Okay.
No, because it's actually part of the NWEA package.
Phew.
Yeah, so it's available for everybody.
You made me nervous.
Sorry, Becky, I didn't mean to make you nervous. No, when you bundle more things with the NWEA, then things get cheaper. So as far as I know, if I'm misspeaking, I will let you know. But yeah, I'll check into that and find out. All right, so let me just stop here for a second and ask, is there anybody that hasn't, so Becky hasn't set hers up yet. Brian, you set yours up or you haven't set yours up yet? Okay. Is it helpful to keep going through this or is it actually making you lost and confused? Because I don't want to lose anybody.
No, it's okay for me, even though I'm not, I mean, I have my account set up, but I can't see all that you can see, but it's helpful for me to see what teachers can see.
Okay.
Right. And it's helpful for me because then I know what's in the program.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure. My job is to make sure you understand. And sometimes I get rambling on and I don't stop. So I wanted to check in. Thank you for sharing that. All right, so let's get back and see what we can find. All right, so here we are again, and you can just see these numbers are what they placed in the MAPS growth math test. And so if we go ahead and click, maybe let me try this one, see if this one works. This is not helpful. We can see placement, but they haven't had activity yet, so that's why it's blank. So you should see for all of your students where they place in all of these areas. But if they haven't actually done any of the activities yet, then you're going to get this look. So I'm just trying to find a student that maybe has some activity. And there is an easier way to find that. Let's go here. Learning minutes is all 0. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to show you guys. Susie, have any of your students, you said they have been working on it?
Forgot that my mic was off, sorry. Yes, not recently, but yes.
Good.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So if you go ahead and click progress and under Maps Accelerator on that left-hand side.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, so now we can see the difference. So her first student has 11 learning minutes. They have skilled up 1 level, and they have 1 skill that they're working on that they haven't had any progress. So this is a perfect example. And so, and just for editing purposes, when I do this later, don't say names out loud because that makes it harder for me to edit out.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. I do have a question about this student though. So I changed this to the last 30 days.
Yeah.
If I go to the last 7 days, the student has negative 17%. Does that just, does that mean that she hasn't spent any time doing this, or?
So typically what that can mean is they just haven't had enough time to work on it yet,
Okay.
or they have, but they're not really making any progress. And so she's sort of stuck and getting, I don't want to say going backwards because it's not like they're really going backwards, but
okay.
That they definitely could be spending some more time. And it's similar to the way Dreambox worked, where if you get that, it's like that orange triangle on Dreambox that you were getting, like this student needs some help. They're stuck. They're confused. So you could assign a specific assignment to them or reassign something for them to watch again. That's that perfect opportunity to pull this student and say, hey, show me what you're working on. How can I help? How are you stuck? And maybe it's that situation where you need to show some manipulatives or something that are hands-on, one-on-one together to get them unstuck.
Okay, and just to be fair, like I have not given them a lot of time to do this, so
yep. Hey, it's brand new.
Yeah, right. So this was just awesome to kind of dip our toe into it and see what it was like, just to get the feedback.
And that is totally cool. That is great. We really appreciate you trying it out. Okay, so let's scroll down and see if we could find another student that maybe has a little more time and a little more lessons.
Nope, sorry.
Nope, that's okay. So this is really great because it does show us that having to have some more time will get us more results, right?
Right.
But this also really shows us the data that we're going to be looking at. So does anybody have any questions about the way this looks, about any of those categories, about what it would look like for you when you're going to go dig into the data?
I just wonder I remember them saying we could change the levels. Like if for instance, like Evan said, he had a student level up 7 times in 45 minutes. If that student was like saying, this is so easy, would he consider changing the level?
The placement.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's the placement. So Susie, if you go back over to the left where it says placement, if you go ahead and click on that, this is where we can change placement for students. So if you, and I'm going to remember the best I can to change it, but click on one of the students' names. Okay, in settings, along the top in the blue.
Or right there, there's drop down that says edit.
Right here, okay.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Becky.
What did you
go back. Click that. Yep. There, to the right of where it says operations and algebraic thinking, to the right, there's a drop down that underneath edit placement. Yeah. And so you could go ahead and just click on where you think this student actually places. And we won't have Susie actually do it because we don't want to mess up this student.
Yeah, I was just thinking of those kids that maybe aren't so good at taking assessments on a computer, and we know their level doesn't actually match what we see in math, like, oh, I know this kid is at like 6th grade, even though they're showing they're at 4th grade, for instance.
Right. Well, and I think the way that MAPS works is it gives students a series of questions, and based on how they answer those questions, it goes up or down. And so as it does that, it might not actually be asking them questions in the exact grade level. It sort of ends up making like an educated guess as to where the student actually is. So it's not perfectly accurate. So my student might not have actually been asked 4th grade geometry questions. They might have been asked 3rd grade and then 6th grade. But it's saying, okay, well, they scored this here and this here, so we're putting them here. So there is error there, right? That's why we have those error marks. And so you do know your students better than NWEA does. So that's why they give you this adjustment. Now, this is so much better than Dreambox, because Dreambox, you have to call the company and say, I am a classroom teacher and my student is way too far ahead of where they actually should be. I need you to bump it back. And then you've got to sign away your firstborn child to kind of figure out how to get your student back again. So this is much simpler, and you can change this by going up or down, whatever works best for your student. Great question. Any other questions? All right, let's go back to progress again. And I just wanted to show you one more time. So like if I am just doing, I'm going to say geometry in this case because that's what they worked on. Yeah, it's only going to show me scores for geometry. So I know where my students fall in that RIT band. And this can be really handy to know, because those RIT bands tell you what grade level sort of matches up with that RIT band. And it helps you get a better understanding of where your students are. So if you need to go into what are some geometry concepts? I am not a geometry person. I'm just going to be honest. Finding the circumference of a circle or something, or the area of, whatever that pi d squared thing is. I really am not a geometry person. I am okay saying that. And you have students that can't even get their heads wrapped around like a circle and a sphere have, they're relational somehow, right? You need to know that going in, right? If your students don't understand that the perimeter of an object is the distance all the way around, and you're trying to find 6 different shapes added together, what is their perimeter? Like, they're not going to get that, right? And you need to know that. So this really breaks that down.
Now, I have a question, and I just figured out how to make an assignment for my students. And I know when I do that on Dreambox, it shows up with like a little notebook, so they know that that's something I've assigned to them. How does it work on this? Does it just take them right to it first, or do they have to actually click on it to?
So on their dashboard, and if we have some time, I'll actually, I think I can dig into the student dashboard side of things too. I'll give that a try. And it will show them that they have assignments for them, and they have to click on that and do that assignment. And you can give it a due date. And so that if they're not, it will alert them that they haven't done it yet. It's looks very similar in a lot of ways to Google Classroom that way. So if you on Google Classroom give them an assignment and they haven't done it, it will like tell them. It does the same sort of idea with this. Okay, I'm going to have Susie stop sharing for a second. And then I'm going to go ahead and share my slides again and see where we're at. Okay. So those of you who do have your dashboard set and ready to go, take a couple of minutes. I'm going to give us maybe 3 to 5 minutes to just look to see what you have and what you notice, kind of play around with it, click buttons. Don't worry, you can't hurt anything. And then we are going to come back together in a few minutes. Is 5 minutes enough, or would you guys like 10? But let's try. I'm sorry, Evan?
I said 5's fine for me.
Okay, let's start with 5, and then we can check back in. I'll see you in 5 minutes, but I'll be here if you need anything.
Jen,
Yes.
it's Brian.
Hi, Brian.
When I want to get started setting this up, I probably will continue doing what I'm doing this year. But I mean, for the beginning of next year, I would like to get this set up, especially for my intervention. Are one of you coaches available to help me set up?
Yeah, absolutely. Brian, can you remind me what school you're at? I'm sorry, I can't remember everyone.
West Rutland.
Oh, I'm here. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so Jen, you're at West Rutland. I thought
Yeah.
I'm trying to think for name. I know
Corey.
Corey. I thought Corey was here.
Corey's here too. I'm usually here on Fridays, and I am here for 7 through 12.
7 through 12.
Yeah.
Okay, because yes, I'd like to meet with you sometime to talk with you more about this.
Yeah.
I'm better if somebody shows me what to do instead of talks me through things. I like doing it with somebody. That's how I learn.
Me too.
So this is beneficial, but it helps me a lot more if somebody actually works with me through the process.
Yes, absolutely. I'd be happy to.
Okay, great.
What time is your, and I'm going to edit this part out of the recording so that it's not on, but what time is your planning time?
It's
Or
at the
is it
end.
after school better for you?
It's at the end of the day. I have the whole last block.
Okay. Perfect.
But I do in my intervention, I have so many kids that are behind. There's so many gaps that I spend my time helping them with the homework, like 7th or 8th grade homework, because they can't do homework because there's so many gaps.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that is beneficial because eventually, over time, at least some of them are getting the new content, are grasping it and able to retain it. But a lot of them have so many gaps. It's been very difficult.
Yeah.
Plus, with COVID, some of them have missed, 10 days of school in a row.
Yeah. I know some teachers are giving either Dreambox or Maps Accelerator as homework instead. So instead of like traditional homework, they have this, plus they can have some class time to work on things too.
Right.
But that might be beneficial for some of those students is, okay, yeah, you did this lesson during class today, but why don't you go ahead and watch the video part of it over again and tell me what you learned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But we can chat more about that. I'll send you an invite.
Okay.
How are we doing for time?
So I had one question come up. What if a student comes to us new and they haven't had a chance to take any math assessment? Can we put them in there anyway?
Yes,
Manually?
I think you manually can do their placement, but I will check in with Emily and make sure.
Yeah, okay. Because we've had quite a few students moving in this year, mid-year.
Okay. She may have told us that in the last training too, and I can't remember.
I can't either. I tried to look through some of the stuff, but
It might be in the Padlet. Do you still have access to the Padlet?
I'm not sure. I can check.
I'll check that. I'll check that. When you guys break out, I'll try to check on that.
So Jenny, you said that these rosters are pulled from Infinite Campus, right? Is there any way? Do they have to? Is that the only way that they're generated? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The Khan Academy, the way Khan Academy and Maps work together, they have to use something called Clever.
Mhm.
And so we had to download Clever, and Clever picks it from Infinite Campus.
Okay.
And it's the only way. If you have a student that moves in, we can still get them like individually added. I think we can manually add a student, but
Just because
I-
I'm missing. I have
You
two
have
students
missing.
who are unlisted in total in 7th grade, and then I have one student who also in 7th grade. It doesn't have her school email attached
oh,
to her account, so I'm like, I'm glad I'm here because this is where I feel like I'm gonna get the quickest answer to that issue.
yeah. Let me look into that one. And
Sure.
I'm going to show you guys in a minute too where you can find some answers. There's a couple of really great help places through NWEA Maps and through Khan Academy. So your answer might be there too.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Has everybody had a chance to explore a little bit? You'll have some more time to.
I keep shaking my head, but realize my camera was off. And anything.
Don't you love when you do that? You would think as much as I'm on camera that I wouldn't do that anymore, and I still do. I'll start talking, and my mic is muted.
Oh,
It never gets easier.
yeah.
Okay, let me present again. I made a little Mentimeter. Has anybody used Mentimeter before?
No.
No. Ooh, this is exciting. Okay. So, does everybody have access to the slides? Were you able to open those up? Yes. Okay. If you go ahead to slide 5, you can click where it says Mentimeter. And what that is going to do when you go there, it's going to pop up and it has a question. So, what did you notice and what do you wonder? And you go ahead and type your answer in this box, and then you're going to hit submit. And then I think I did a second question too. So, you might have another question that pops up after that. So, take a couple of minutes and go through those. And then we're all going to look to see what everybody shared. Is everyone able to get to the second question? Yeah, okay. Just wanted to make sure. All right. Does anybody want to share out what they wrote about what you noticed and about what you wondered?
I was able to figure out how to assign specific skills based on the different kind of branches of math for each grade. And that's so much more user friendly than Dreambox is. I think it's just a menu and it's got every skill that like a seventh grader would need. So I found that very, very helpful and really easy too. You're muted, Jenny.
See, what did I tell you? I think sometimes it does this on its own. Anybody else want to share? Anyone want to share some thoughts about how you could use this information?
I was able to. Why am I echoing? So
Not sure.
So Brian, you've joined the meeting twice. I have two of you on my screen. So what do you have two compute? There you go. That's one of them's gone.
There.
It just creates a feedback loop.
Yep. Thank you, Evan.
I think he may be gone too.
We'll give him a second, but if anybody else wants to share something while we're waiting.
I was just thinking how maybe we can use this for giving kids a 4 on jump rope, because if they're working above level, out of grade level, it could be evidence that, hey, I've taught this at their level right now and they're exceeding what I'm teaching already. So I think some teachers are using Dreambox right now for that, and they're like, whoa, hey, I can use this to give a kid a 4. And I'm like, yeah, actually you can, because if they're doing good on those assessments you're giving in bridges, those show a 3, but if they're going above and beyond in Dreambox, sure, that can constitute a 4. So I think teachers will be excited because in math they're looking for ways in the elementary
To
grades
show that
especially
mastery and above, right? Yeah,
to give kids a
absolutely.
4. Yeah.
Brian, what were you going to share?
Well, I like what Becky just said because I didn't even think of it as a way to challenge your upper level students. I was just thinking of my struggling students. So yeah, Becky, I think that's great.
Yeah, and the thing to remember too is that so I said that I'm not that great at geometry, right? But I was that 105 kid in algebra 1 and algebra 2, and I really exceeded in those concepts, but in geometry I really struggled. And all of our students are going to be like that, or many of our students are going to be like that too, right? Where there might be one area where they're leaps and bounds beyond, and in other areas they're struggling, and it allows for them to grow in both areas, right? To keep growing in where they exceed, and to grow and get that extra help where they need that too. So it's perfect. Thank you guys both for mentioning that.
Okay, now you made me think of a question.
Oh, okay.
So in Dreambox, they used to be able to or they would sort of somehow notice that kids were avoiding a topic and only give them tiles that were about that topic. Is there a way for us to say, I really want you to work on this, or is that just through assignments? Can we turn off a section if they're like, oh, I love this and I'm working in 3 grade levels ahead, but I really should be working on the stuff that I'm needing help with? I don't know. I just wonder if there's a way to
I'm
do
going
that.
to give you the I think answer, and then I'm going to look it up to make sure. But I think what it does is it doesn't let them move on until they've shown mastery in that level. Now, if they're working on just the geometry concepts and they've mastered all of those, and they need to work on algebraic thinking, then I do believe it will show you that they haven't made progress or they're not working on that, and you can set it. I think it's under those settings where they have to work on that. I think she even said that you could set time, so they have to work on one concept for so much time and then another, but I'll look to make sure and then get back to you guys. I think Becky froze. It's hard when you're in the same
Looking
room.
at it from the student perspective, it's so organized so they can see, well, of course, what the skills are. So it shows the purpose of all the lessons. And so for their PLPs, when they have to set goals, it's there for them. I think it could be really useful.
Very useful. I love that idea. I love student goal setting, so you got me excited. All right, so I'm going to share my screen again. And we are at the point where you guys get to go try some things out if there aren't any more questions, and apply this on your own. So here's a couple of ideas. You can go dig deeper into your students' data and just have a reflection on what you see. You can look at an upcoming math lesson or unit that you have planned, and based on the information you gathered from MAPS Accelerator, how will you change or differentiate your plan? And then you can go ahead and make a sustainable plan for yourself. So make a plan to implement this lesson or unit. Make a plan to give yourself some reflection time on how that unit or lesson went. And you could share your findings with a colleague and brainstorm some intervention ideas or any other thoughts that you might have. So we're going to go ahead and you guys can work on your own, doing what will work for you. Oops, I didn't share my screen. Good Lord, technical difficulties today. sorry. So you go ahead and look at those slides for those ideas or any other ideas that you have. I will remain on. I'm going to shut my camera off and my microphone off. But if you have any questions at all, please just unmute and ask away. And we will come back at 11:40 just to share some thoughts and ideas of what you guys were able to come up with and do, if that works for everybody. Sound good?
Mhm.
All right. See you in a bit.